welcome to the Latin Nerds Network. That's right, the LNN. This episode of the Watch List, our virtual TV guide, if you will, the show that's going to help you navigate those rough streaming seas. We're going to give you a lot of tips and shows that they should be watching, you should not be watching, etc. Let's get to it. I'm very excited. It's the second episode, so let me first introduce, of course, my co-host here for today. That's going to be live from Houston, Big Bro himself, our TV guru, the ambassador of love, of course, that is El Señor Jaime Romero, aka known as Chewy. What's up, brother?
Hey, brother, what's going on, man? Ready for episode two?
Yeah, there's a lot of there's been a good 2 weeks as far as TV is concerned. We usually don't get to talk about this many shows. Last week we had a packed show, talking about Fear Street and Tomorrow Ward, a couple that stood out. Generation 56 is one that you really liked as well on
hmm
Netflix and all that. So we got some new shows, a couple of hidden gems here, and actually one that you recommended midway through the week, which I did get a chance to start. But before all that, we did have a memoriam last week for a couple of passings. We had Lovecraft Country and we had Cursed on Netflix. Both were canceled. This week's memoriam is a little bit different. Very sad about this one, of course, and that is going to be the death of the career of one Bruce Willis here. Um, there's a show on Netflix here, Cosmic Sin. It's a movie actually that I got a chance to try to watch. Starring a one Bruce Willis. I love Bruce Willis. I think Chewie did too. At least I used to. Frank Grillo's in it as well, who we saw
Oh,
recently
God.
in Hulu's.
Frank, Frank,
Frank's not the
Frank.
greatest thing in the world, but he was good in that. What's that movie? Boss Level, I think it was on Hulu, which wasn't a bad film. Actually, kind of a fun film, kind of an action Groundhog Day kind of thing.
Yes, yes, boss level.
Right, right. So Cosmic Sin, I'm thinking, okay, I saw the trailer. I know this is not going to be good, right? Obviously, and truth be told, Bruce Willis has been sleepwalking through most of his stuff over the last few years. Let's just call it what it is. But Jesus Christ, Cosmic Sin. This is a galactic sin. This is a mortal sin. This movie is atrocious. And Bruce Willis, I'm talking to you here because man, you're my guy, right? You save humanity. You protected the Fifth Element. You're unbreakable. You're freaking John McClane. You're better than this, Bruce. And now you're gone below the depths of even Nicolas Cage, who's actually had a little bit of a resurgence recently. But this movie is straight garbage. It is really, really bad. And I made a comment about Thunder Force last week, and I'm gonna take it all back. This movie makes Thunder Force seem like the Citizen Kane of all movies on Netflix. So avoid it at all costs. It's worse than I thought it was. I can't believe that a cool, interesting premise, sci-fi, action, alien invasion, and they managed to make all that really, really dull and boring. That's not easy to do. Shame on you, Bruce. I hate you, but I still kind of love you. But that being said, let's get on to the good stuff, the stuff that we should be paying attention to, of course. And let's start with one where I think me and Chu we talked about last week, that we were big fans of, and that is, of course, Fear Street.
That is
Part, yeah,
correct.
part
Yes.
three released finally this week. Fear Street 1666. So this is a
hmm
story that spans what 300 years or so. So Chu, I'm gonna let you go first here. Obviously, we were big fans of the first two. I highly recommended it. It was for me, it was a must watch. I think for you the same, which says a lot because you're not a horror guy. Right?
That's
That
correct.
much
Yeah.
true. And for you to actually like it speaks volumes as far as the quality of the show. But I'm gonna start with you, man. Did they stick the landing on this one?
Well, this third part is definitely different than the first two. First two were paid homages to 90s and 70s horror slasher films. This one is, I guess, more of a straightforward narrative, right? Where we are thrust back into time with the origin of the supposed curse, and we obviously will cover a mystery behind it and what actually transpired. Then coming back to present day in the movie back to 1994 to kind of wrap up the horror element of the show. So the first two thirds are traditional linear storytelling. And then the last part is now, okay, let's get back, let's wrap up to a traditional, horror slasher genre movie. Yeah, I think overall I enjoyed it. I was different from the other two, but I think for the trilogy, I think it stuck the landing, and I definitely would recommend watching it.
Yeah, I'm on board with you. I mean, I like the fact that it didn't, give us the same thing again, right? Rely on this nostalgia
Yes.
thing, which really worked the first two. It really did.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's a little bit different. It's, telling us a story. We got obviously the origins of this whole curse with this town, the shady, Shady Hill,
Shadyville,
Shady,
Shady,
whatever it's the city,
yes,
whatever small town
yeah,
that I forget the name of it. But either way,
Shadyville and Sunnyvale.
right, exactly, and it was a good twist to what we thought the story was going to be about. Right, we were led to believe the curse was about not spoiling anything, this certain situation with the witch or whatever, and it ended up being something a little bit different. I like that, and it's kind of cool because we got like a pseudo sequel, if you will, to Fear Street 1994 because it does go back to
Yeah,
that, right?
there was a little snippet at the end. They kind of teased a two-part little mid credits where I'm looking at the credits, but I saw the length on the credits, like, well, it's got to be something here, and I fast forward and they just show a traditional at the mall, right, 90s mall, and the doors where they originally the main protagonist escaped through originally, and then they go back to credits. I'm like, oh, that's it. But then they go back to the scene on the ground where the witch's book was, or actually it wasn't witch, it was a satanic book of some kind, and you see someone, someone's hands. You don't see who, but someone's hand grab it and take off screen. I'm like, here we go. Here comes the
Oh,
sequels.
it's gonna be a sequel, which hey, I'm for it. I still, like I said, it stuck the landing. I'm not gonna say it's the greatest thing you've ever seen. I think we're both on the same page with that, but I think it still ended very well. And it's as a trade as a whole, it's actually, if you look about it, it's actually think about it, it's actually thematically pretty deep. It talks about obviously tolerance in a certain way, which is pretty relevant to what's going on with some of the characters and what they're about, sexuality, etc., acceptance. Particularly, it takes place in '94, where acceptance wasn't it wasn't what it was today. So it makes sense for that show, for the timeline that they gave us. So very cool. I really liked it a lot. I think it's a home run for Netflix. A definite must watch on that one. Let's stick with Netflix for a second. We have another one here, a movie that came out this weekend. Well, actually last Wednesday, I believe, anyway. And that's Gunpowder Milkshake. This is a new John Wick-esque, kind of action film, if you will. And I think it was Gilliam. I forgot her first name, but she's in Jumanji.
Karen Gillan.
Karen, there you go.
Yeah.
She's in Jumanji. She's, of course, Nebula in Marvel Cinematic Universe. We got Hedy.
Lena Headey.
Lena Headey, yeah, who
of
is
Game of Thrones.
Cersei, of course.
Game of Thrones. Yep.
She's eating again.
Queen Cersei.
Good for her. We all gotta eat. I get it. So when I was excited about, I'm a huge action junkie as long as they're well done here, and I have my thoughts on it. But Chu, I'm kind of curious. I assume you saw this. What you thought about this Netflix film?
I did watch it. There were things that I liked about it. It's a very stylized action flick. All right.
Overly stylized, in my opinion. I mean, just...
Well, you probably. I mean, a lot of color, a lot of shots, the traditional slow mo, the over the top death sequences and shooting and stuff. I mean, it was enjoyable. I'm not sure it's up to the John Wick level of quality, but it wasn't terrible, right? I mean, sure, it was better than the first that what was that Bruce Willis garbage movie, whatever that was.
Cosmic Sin.
It's
a disgrace to humanity. It's right there. Netflix should be embarrassed for this. But I digress. But yes,
I don't know if that's even a Netflix original, honestly. But whatever.
Well, I don't know. Well, listen, if it's on Netflix and the name's on it, it's released this year, you gotta take responsibility. You gotta be accountable for what you put. What would you put on the plate? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Someone has cooked it, but you put it on your plate. You gotta take.
So like I said, it was enjoyable. It was entertaining, but it wasn't great. It was probably a little over the top, and maybe trying to be so to kind of stick out from the other action movies that are around. But there was enough there. I mean,
it wasn't a. You're right. It's not a horror movie. It's at best it's mediocre. At best, and it's the neon in this movie. Oh my god, it gives you a headache. If it just the story wasn't there. None of the main Gillian's character is not likable, so you're not really following her. It's like, who cares? Some of the actions, okay. Particularly in the third act when they really get into it.
Yeah, well,
that was cool.
We get nothing on the firm. I mean, very little, if any.
Right. It doesn't build the world the way probably John Wick did, obviously. And I know it's an unfair comparison because this is not John Wick's lead. Let's just get that out of the way right now. I think we can all agree on that. But I wanted something fun and entertaining, and I guess it's passable. I mean, I don't know if I honestly recommend, to be honest with you. I mean, it's free. It's on Netflix.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess.
Why not?
But,
sure.
Yeah, but I mean, lower the expectations, and I think they greenlit a sequel to it. There's still enough there where I kind of want to see it if they get a new director. because again, it's just the action wasn't filmed as good as it liked to be, and it was more style over substance at the end of the day. So disappointing. Not the worst thing ever. Again, it's not a cosmic sin, if you will. But but on that note, let's stay with Netflix for a bit. We got another one here. This was a docuseries. Yes, we do documentaries for those who are allergic to it. Shame on you. A lot of good ones. And Heist one got released this weekend, and this is one I really, really liked and really enjoyed. This is a must-watch for me. Trey, why don't you let us know what Heist is about?
So Heist is it's a 6-part, but it's three distinct famous heists, and I think these are recent history. So one was in early 2000, one was in the 90s. The third part I haven't gotten to yet.
The third one was 2000, late 2010s.
Yeah, so within the last 20 years, we have these three famous large heists, right?
Yes.
And so we're not, this is not a little bank robbery. This was some serious heists.
Yeah, this is like not Ocean's 11 kind of thing, but definitely. This is a huge heist. We're talking about millions of dollars of money, particularly the first 2 episodes being stolen, and one which they mentioned very reminiscent of the Goodfellas airport heist, the Lufthansa heist.
Yeah, the Lufthansa heist in New York, LaGuardia.
Yeah, this is even bigger than that, according to
but this one was a lot easier.
Well, yeah.
Hello, doors open. Come on in.
I mean,
we won't spoil it, but it's obviously it's first person. So all the players involved. Well, I'd say the majority of players involved in these heists are interviewed, and they go through their story, their background, their planning, and obviously post the execution of said heist and what happened to them. Obviously, most of the people they interviewed were all caught and served time in jail, and so that's part of the afterlog or the prologue of each one of these is a sentence they got. So none of these guys got away for the most part. But it's very interesting. It's obviously it's not overly dramatized. And it's told that it engages you, and you want to learn about people, what were the motivations and what happened, right? So it's not just a traditional A, B, and C, and this is the net result. I mean, you talk to you're interviewing the heistees, right?
Right.
And understanding, why, and what and how, and the how, yeah, and also they also bring in the key law enforcement investigators who came in and actually, did all the legwork and actually, laid out how they got caught, why they got caught, and maybe gives a little bit of insight on police investigations for future heisters. but it's funny. I think there's one that happened in Miami, and it's funny that one of the protagonists in that heist would watch. He learned about all the techniques by watching the Law and Orders and FBI files and all this
CSI
stuff,
Miami,
and so that kind of. Yeah, CSI Miami. So like it kind of watching all that helped them plan this. But obviously that was so easy. I don't think you needed much planning and whatnot.
Yeah. Once you learn how the heist was accomplished, you're like, well, a 2-year-old could have done it, which is makes it even more fascinating why no one did it before. It's just, but you're right. Having the people directly involved telling the story makes it so much better. Some documentaries, you just kind of narrate what's going on, what happened, maybe some witnesses, but this one actually, the actual players in the game are telling their story.
All the players, they're telling their story.
Yeah, and I guess this is Miami. This is where I live right here. My Cuban brethren. Shame on you, but I get you. I can't hate because it was so easy. I I'm in. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
$7 million out. It was $100 million to be taken. I mean, okay, I'll take a little slice. It's fine. But yes, it's one of probably my favorite documentaries so far this year. This one, I had a lot of fun with this one. It's very interesting. The third one, Chewy, I know you haven't seen yet. It's about the bourbon heist in Kentucky. It's good. Now, the heist isn't as intricate as far as value wise in terms of the other two, but it's still very cool and how it happened and all that. So this for me, it's a must watch too. I don't know if you agree with that or not in terms of.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Very interesting, very engaging. Yes, put on the must watch list.
Yeah, for sure. Another show. The final season dropped, season 4. That's Atypical. This is a show I think me and Chewy have been watching since the beginning. All 4 seasons on Netflix. I've been a big fan of the show. I think you have too. And it's a show, obviously, it's a family dramedy, if you will, about revolving around the son who is autistic. He's high functioning. If I'm saying that right? And you kind of seen his perspective and see the eyes through his lenses and what he sees and how he interprets things and all that. The family's great. The daughter, the sister, she's fantastic. The show is very sweet, very earnest. It earns those heartful moments. It's just gonna pull your heartstrings at times, and it doesn't manipulate it. It's not overly melodramatic about it, and it's very funny. And the show, I'm sad to see it go, and I'll give my thoughts on the final season. But Chewy, I'm gonna let you go first as far as what you thought about season 4, because I know we both had finished it.
Yeah, I finished it, so I can look at season 4. I like the series overall as a very honest portrayal of dealing with someone with autism, and I enjoyed it. Like I said, it pulls at the heartstrings at the right places. It has the moments of brevity and definitely comedy through the various characters and his friends and his interactions.
Saheed.
Yes, he.
Who's the best friend of the main
Yeah.
character? Yeah.
I mean, there's this one scene. I think it was episode 9, episode 10, and it's just loaded with sexual innuendo. But he's coming off surgery where he had cancer in one of his testicles, or with his testicles, and so he knocks on someone's door and trying to get some tools, and she's throwing in the whole "I got nothing to bang," or you need a screw, and I got stuff like that. He's just like. That only happens in pornos, not in real life and comedies. But exactly. But I mean, but I guess it's a realistic portrayal of a family dealing with someone with autism and the ins and outs and the intricacies of living life with someone who's on the spectrum. And you can see his growth and development as we see him first in high school, and then obviously entering college and trying to figure out who he wants to be, what he wants to be, what he wants to do.
Living on his own.
And do all the things that for a layperson is no big deal to a certain extent, but not so much for him. But I enjoyed it. I really liked the show a lot. Sad to see it go, but I think it had a good story and a good arc, and it's a good point to bring it to closure.
Yeah, I know the show has its fans. This is one of the shows I'm talking about, like a hidden gem. The core casual fan probably is not aware of this show, And here to watch this is the kind of shows we love to talk about, right? Because these shows you should be watching, when you get a chance. And this is a good one. It's a winner, right? And you're right.
Yeah.
The whole autism thing, it sounds heavy, right? But they treat it so light in a good way. I'm saying that positively. That it's not bogged down. You're like, oh my God, it's just going to depress me. It's not, right? They're dealing with it. It's for them, it's normal. For us as the audience, it's not. It's cool to kind of see how, what it takes to deal with someone in that condition. But it make it very funny. I like the characters a lot. It ended very well. It had a nice, good ending and wrapped up things nicely. Good to see one more season, but I get it. And I thought they kind of rushed the last few episodes. That's okay. I get it. I think.
Well, I mean, they're trying to bring closure, and there is no natural,
It's tough because
I mean, I'm glad they didn't say, they didn't give us the traditional the time forward time jump, right? I can't stand. Yeah, I didn't want to see that here. No. I just wanted to see what we know what his goal was, and what his passion was, and it was good that we didn't explicitly see it, but they alluded to it in the last scene,
right?
Where he's looking at
kind of imagine what you think he's at now, which is great. They had one great scene with his girlfriend at the time. That was a really good scene.
Oh my God, at the Olive Garden.
Yeah, probably one of the best scenes the show's ever had. It's really good. It's really well done. I highly recommend the show. I know Chewy does too. I mean, it's not going to change your life or anything. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to overset it, but it's a good show. If you have a family, I think it's perfect for them as well. But kudos to Netflix, man. Good shows. Good to see shows that give you something different, right? In terms of the characters, and what the subject matters. It's not a typical coming of age story per se, not in the least. So good for them. Definitely recommend it. This next show here is actually one that you recommended during this week. You texted me on this one. And we haven't talked about this network yet. And that's, of course, the Peacock. The Peacock, if you will. Of course, I think it's free for a lot of expensive subscribers and whatever the case is. But and they don't have Peacocks have mixed results, but they've had some good stuff here and there. You recommend a show called Dr. Death, show which is I think the same people who did Mr. Robot. At least it seems like it. I'm not sure. I get the vibe. I may be wrong. Involved. Yeah.
Sam Raimi's not involved. Sam Raimi, the writer, director, he was the everything for Mr. Robot.
It seems like his fingerprints on there somehow. I just got the vibe, but whatever it's for. Either way, it doesn't need here nor there. But obviously we got Alec Baldwin, who's
Mm-hmm.
I love me some Alec Baldwin every time he's on.
Does a great Trump.
Yeah, he's a fantastic Trump. But he's amazing. Especially you don't think of him as comedy, but he's a comic genius. You put on 30
Yeah.
Rock, he's incredible in that show. Christian Slater, of course, came from
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Robot as well.
Yes.
We got Kelsey Grammer shows up here on a couple episodes. Frasier himself.
I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So I've seen 4 episodes. Chewy seen 3, but you recommended
3.
it. I started watching it, and it's really based on a true story, true events.
Yes,
about
here
this,
in Texas.
Yeah, Dr.
Yes.
Deutsch, if I'm not saying that right. And
Dunch. Dr. Dunch.
Dunch, I'm sorry, right, sorry. And he is, they call him Dr. Death for a reason, right? He's a spine surgeon, I guess, to some degree. And he cons or finds his way into the medical system, medical field, and the surgeries he's doing is causing more harm than good. People have been dying, become quadriplegics. You know, he messes up, cuts the wrong arteries, and he's a disaster. And then his 2 doctors, of course, Baldwin and Slater, are trying to, get him out of there and trying to investigate and see if they can boot him out because he's a disaster. So, dark show. I love this show. It's really good. It's really,
I got hooked
really good.
Quick. First 5 minutes, I'm like, I'm hooked. I gotta watch this.
Yeah,
it is. Joshua Jackson is the main actor. Yeah, so he's from Dawson's Creek, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, yeah. And you've seen him in a lot of different properties as himself and other shows. But I think the best known, at least originally, from Dawson's Creek. And I found this show and the way its portrayal of this particular doctor, which is obviously based on real events, right? So it's not 100% accurate, but I guess the broad strokes are there.
Yes.
And the first episode is, okay, you see a week in the life of this doctor, and you start seeing all these details on what happened with 3 of these patients over a 3-day period here at a Dallas hospital. And obviously that kind of spurs the investigation and the questions of what's going on. And they, you see the phone calls, but you also get interlaced flashbacks of I think second episode or third episode had him when he was at Colorado State and moving to another college, and he was an actual football player, wanted to be a football player, and even previous history with himself and his father and whatnot. So you start getting all these layers kind of built back into the onion. But it was just, I could not stop watching. I just want to keep going to the next episode. It's that it pulls you in that quick, and you want to know the whole story.
No, absolutely. Right? Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And they do such a great job of creating this antagonist. Unless he's a villain, right? In lay's terms, I guess the simplest terms. And when a show can drop that emotion, like, dude, this guy sucks, and you really want him to go down. You just get vested in knowing that, okay, how they're gonna do it, right? Because this guy seems to be one step ahead, so to speak. And how he fell through the
some way somehow,
right?
Some way, the system and him, yeah.
And I started exploring that a little bit as the show goes on. Obviously, I'm four in, and I mean, I'm fascinated. Like I said, this is a show I'm gonna probably finish. We'll probably talk about the ending of the show. It's a limited series, obviously, but I think it's a big winner for Peacock. And I think if you have Peacock, must watch.
No, and like I said, the performances by Alec Baldwin and even Christian Slater, because I think he had a resurgence when he came on. He had done some things in the early 90s, 80s and 90s, and then he showed up on Mr. Robot, and he became a star again. Yeah, he became a star again.
He Bruce Willis for a while. Sorry, Bruce, I gotta keep ragging on you. But now he's somewhat now back to respectability.
Yes.
Alec Baldwin's always been there, and it's not his first turn as a doctor. If you've seen Malice way back in the day. But yeah, no, absolutely must watch. This is incredibly intriguing. Yeah. And it's a dark story told very well, and like I said, and just true as you watch, it's a couple episodes where it feels like Mr. Robot, which is why I mentioned that. It feels like they take a lot of those nuances from the show in terms of presentation, things like that.
Well, that's good. You copy. The greatest form of flattery is mimicry, imitation,
of course,
and we all love. If anyone who's listening that hasn't seen Mr. Robot, shame on you. That was a great show, 4 seasons, and that was much watched, and that launched the careers of several players, and obviously reintroduced to Christian Slater again.
Rami Malek, of course, who ended up getting an Academy Award for playing Freddie Mercury and Rhapsody. So, yeah, great show. That was in USA, I think ended last year or 2 years ago. But this is a really great show. Really great. It's really good. If you're not engaged on it, and I get it, but I don't see why you wouldn't be engaged. It's such a good story. Back to Netflix again, because Netflix had a lot of stuff this week, and that's what Netflix is the best, right? Let's be honest.
Busy week.
So it is what it is. And another show that we were big fans of, season 1, season 2 just dropped, and that is, of course, is Never Have I Ever. Small coming-of-age comedy with the main character. She's Indian. So, again, I like shows that kind of go into other, like the culturally diverse and all that. I think that's a good thing. A show, the first season, I think we have an award show at the end of the year, which I have to rename. But We both, I think, had it for best comedy or best new show. I remember which one they gave it for. Big fan. It's been a while because the COVID delayed this release, if I'm not mistaken, Chewy.
Yes.
Because I think it came out 2 years ago, 2019. So I'm glad it's back. This is a show that's narrated by John McEnroe. That alone is worth the price of admission because I love me some John McEnroe. My dad was a big tennis player when he was younger. Henceforth, I watched tennis and played a little bit of tennis. John McEnroe, the biggest mouth at the time. I mean, he's great, and he's just, I don't know, he just adds so much to the show in terms of personality. But he's narrating for a reason. They actually do touch on that towards the end of season 1. And it's a show that I think season 1 where she's dealing with the death of her father, who died recently. Again, another heavy show, but takes such a good comedic way of telling the story and present the story, and does have a lot of heart, particularly at the end of it. So looking forward to this one. I'm 4 in. Chewy, you think you're 3 in? What are your thoughts about season 2? Is this still a must watch?
Absolutely. I mean, John McEnroe brings the added icing on the cake as far as the comedic element. I mean, his narration is and the writing and obviously his execution, right? You can write something, but if you don't have someone who's executing, saying the lines and has that comedic sense, it could turn ugly real fast.
Of course.
But I think, him being him, and he's actually obviously bringing a lot of his personality into and he's kind of like reacting to what we're seeing, and we'll probably have the same thoughts, but it's just to hear it verbalized, it just adds that extra comedic element that makes it from good to great.
Right.
And I think this is a great comedy. It's relevant. Yes, it's a little bit high school hijinks to a certain extent, but it's all from a perspective of one who a nerd type personality, smart person, and obviously being thrust into this, all of a sudden she's got not just one boyfriend but 2 boyfriends, and dealing with potentially moving to India, and I mean all the cultural clash between American and Indian, traditional Indian culture and family, right? And dealing with everything that comes out, going through high school in that environment, right? I just love this show. I mean, I just, it's just so, I find it so engaging, so funny. I just, they gave me to the next episode, man. I just love it.
Yeah. I'm preferring season 1 just a little more because he had the death of the father element to it. It's added some weight to it, but that notwithstanding, it's very funny, man. It's such a cool show. And again, this girl, she's trying to navigate trying to be noticed and popular and all that, but she's she's like, I think one of the best students in the school, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe the top
she's
student, right? She's going to go to Princeton.
She's Ivy League potential, definitely. Obviously, so she's well off. So she's she's not growing up on the street. This is a well off,
a mom's a doctor
family,
and all that.
So. Smart. But even so, I mean, it's still relatable, right? It's still a very, very relatable, likable character, and her friends. Who's one, you have one friend who's into style over substance, and one friend who's as pop culture handicapped as you can get.
She's the Bruce Willis of any pop culture reference.
Yeah. So I said it's interesting dynamics, right? And obviously with all the students, they play on some of the tropes, right? There's the robot club guys and stuff, but it plays well into the overall fabric of the show. Right. So it's not used as a crutch.
You have those stereotypes and those that's how it is. Anyway, it's not they're not creating it. That's how it is in reality. I mean, let's be honest. Those the nerds and nerds and the cool kids that exists. It's never gone away, right? Might take separate forms, but it's still the same. But this is a good show. It's a very funny show, very lighthearted. Again, this is a show that a lot of people don't know about, and you should. It's very funny. I liked it a lot. We'll probably mention. We'll see how it ends off because I have 4 left. I'm about almost halfway through on this one. Hopefully it ends well. I think it is. So far, this far, I think it's a big one.
I mentioned I love the naming of the episodes. And, I mean, it's relevant because like the first, there's one episode where obviously the show is Never Have I Ever ... And the name of the episode is okay, what's something that, so first episode was Never Have Ever Been a Player, right? Or Never Have Ever Thrown a Raid. So it's all connected. So it's it's interesting use of the title sequence and then what the episode's about. So it's fun playing.
And all the characters are likable. Even the ones that you shouldn't like, you probably still like anyway. It's that fun. It's a light show, but I think definitely must watch. Let's talk about the last one, Chewy. Here, which is a show that we're huge fans of since its inception. I don't know, 5, 6, whenever it was.
As you can tell by my shirt, of course.
By my shirt, of course, that is Rick and Morty. The infamous Rick Sanchez, of course. And this is season 5. We haven't talked about it yet here on the watch list. This is the first time we are. We've talked about it in a podcast, and I think the first couple episodes, which I thought were stellar. I love how the season started. Then the next two episodes came out, and I think we saw one together when you were visiting, and it's taken a little bit of step down. I hate to say that. It's still good because it was that old saying that Rick and Morty like sucks. Even when it sucks, it's still pretty good, And I know the third episode was disappointing. This last one was okay. One of what it deals with this attacking sperm, and only in Rick and Morty you get attacking sperm. Which is funny and stuff. Don't get me wrong, it's great. It just wasn't that great. Maybe a fleshed out episode. That wasn't one of my favorites.
I think the episode's called Rick Dependence Day or something.
I forget what it is.
Something like that. Yeah.
But yeah, all the craziness is there and all that. It's just it's out there and it's fine. Some episodes work more than others. The last two have been good. That being said, they're good. It's probably still better than most other shows. It's top peak performance. So this is such a great show. This is a show if you're not watching, come on. HBO Max has the first 4 seasons and it's airing currently now on Adult Swim.
That's correct.
So it's a huge winner. Chewy, your thoughts on the last couple episodes?
Well, I mean, I liked episode 3, and that was I can't remember what was the name of that episode.
Oh, I don't remember the name. It was fine. It just wasn't up to level with the first two. That's all.
No. I mean, because with the first one we had the introduction of the character Mr. Nimbus, right, who is the antagonist to Rick Sanchez. His what's the word I'm looking for?
Nemesis.
His arch nemesis. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
great.
He's like an Aquaman
right, had the proper
ripoff
balance of a little bit Aquaman ripoff. But that's what Rick and Morty does, right? They rip off everybody.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, you just look back at the dragon episode. That was a ripoff on Game of Thrones and Dragon. So here you go.
That's really good.
Highly sexualized.
They're very obviously culturally aware of what's going on, and so
in the fantasy world.
That's
but getting back, so that we had the introduction of that character, and that was great. The second one was the decoy episode, and that was just that was great standalone traditional what made Rick and Morty, where it was just off the wall. Crazy, and with all the decoys and the clones and history and the explanation, and even throwing a little bit of time elements into it, and it was just great.
And even this complex situations, and they write them so well, which you in 20 minutes, 25 minutes, which you don't expect most shows to do. There's a lot of shows that try, they can't do it in a movie or in 6 episodes. It does it in 20 minutes. It's ridiculous. No one does it better than they do.
Yeah, exactly. But this last episode, I mean, I agree. I don't know what the message they were trying to portray. I just found it very uncomfortable because I think it went off the rails real quick with the whole horse sperming machine, and I know, oh God, here we go. And Morty, and he is like on the roof, like chilling, like, oh God, and then. All the sperm and the giant ova, and it was just, and the funniest part was the president. I haven't seen the president again.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah,
I think that was the best part, but it was just sometimes it's too much, right? And I still understand what they were trying to say, and maybe I didn't enjoy it as much as definitely. I think I like the third episode more than this one, but by far.
I agree. Yeah.
But sometimes it happens, right? Look, you can't be great all the time. Sometimes you're going to strike out, right? It happens. It doesn't mean you're a bad show. It just means you tried. You thought it was funny, and it just falls flat.
That's a show like this, which is so out there. There's going to be ideas and concepts you're probably not going to understand or agree with or think is amusing. It happens. It's not the only episode I haven't liked. There's a couple episodes I've been like, okay, whatever. But for the most part, it usually hits home runs, and it did the first 2. The second 2 have been fine. Doesn't mean nothing. This is obviously always going to be a must watch, no matter what. 'Cause again, even when they're just okay, I'm still laughing hard at times.
Yeah. It had a few moments, but it was just a little too much. Sure. This one. Hopefully this week. I think this week we get back to I think normalcy. I think we fans have been clamoring about where is the portal gun. It's been missing all season. I think they released there's been no portal gun all season, man.
Yeah, you're right.
And they've been throwing theories and all this stuff. Is it a clone? Is it a fake? Is it another And so I think they released a snippet, opening sequence. We get the portal gun back. So all right, let's see where this goes.
Yeah, going back to a classic Rick and Morty adventure style show, which is what I think we're all about. So, but must watch, and we'll probably talk about every 2 or 3.
I will say I forgot that in episode 3. What I liked the most was the T-shirt game.
Oh yeah.
The pussy pounders.
Yeah. Oh, Rick and Morty. You always gotta think about the marketing.
I'm gonna see if I can get that T-shirt and throw it to
Well,
my Rick and Morty collection.
obviously. Um, Bruce Willis is to be on the show to kind of resurge his career, if you will. That being said, we'll probably talk about this every 2 or 3 episodes on this one. But again, must watch, without question. So, again, if you Rick and Morty, Never Have I Ever, Atypical, Fear Street, almost watch as far as I'm Dr. Death. This is actually pretty been a good couple weeks here. Milkshake was the only one, which is like, which is okay. I'm not. Cosmic Sin doesn't count. That's nonsense. But that being said, let's end it there, Chewy. Of course, watch list concludes the second episode. We're trying to do this every show. This show's weekly. Because a lot of stuff does come out. There's a lot of good shows coming out next week, or potential shows. Let me say good shows. I rephrase.
Yeah.
But obviously, we got the movies that made us on Netflix. I believe He-Man comes out on Netflix, the animated series.
We got He-Man. Yeah. We got the movie Jolt on Amazon Prime with Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah. Again, a John Wick-ish action film.
Potentially. But everything's now compared to John Wick. John Wick set the bar.
John Wick's become the new Speed, right? Back in the day when Speed came out, which also had Keanu, go figure. It was the speed on the boat, speed on the plane,
speed on the plane,
speed on space. So it's not become John Wick, right? Let's be. You're right. The new bar. It is what it is. But Joe does come out, so hopefully that's at least entertaining enough. That being said, everybody, comment below. You've seen some of these shows. Any shows you guys recommend me? Go watch, subscribe, like. Of course, we got a lot of stuff coming out. I'm doing M. Night's Old review tomorrow, I believe. On Monday, I'm actually gonna drop this show in a couple of days anyway. We got our first show, the new daily news weekly roundup coming out later this week. We're gonna do a Loki spoiler review as well. So either way, check us out here. Support the Latin community, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.